Okay, Angela, you're all right with me recording this, no?
Yes.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. I'm back with my friend Angela Alberts. And if you follow our channel, you've seen Angela before. I think, have we done more than one Zoom together? I know we've
No,
done
just
one.
one.
Okay, the heart tonic, and I, that one is just on the Rumble channel right now, but I'm working up the nerve to put it on the YouTube channel. Our strike on YouTube has expired, so um, we don't want to lose the channel if we can avoid that. And there's certain topics that we tend to get targeted for. So I probably will put that heart tonic interview that we did on our YouTube channel soon, so you can look for that. This one is something that Angela and I have been talking about doing for some time. Those of you who are familiar with Barbara O'Neill, you know that Barbara has talked about a female progesterone cream called Anna's Wild Yam Cream. It's not just ladies that can use it, men can use it too, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Um, but apparently, um, it's very difficult to find Anna's Wild Yam Cream now. And Angela, I like to lovingly think of her as the perpetual herbal tinkerer. She's constantly fiddling around with some recipe or formula, and she came up with a dad who's always into that kind of stuff. So he's an herbal tinkerer. And
Yep.
so, Angela, what got you started? You have created um, a wild yam cream that is
Yes.
very similar to Anna's, and you actually shared with me that you found out how Anna's is made. So, what put you on this journey?
Well, I was doing some health classes for individuals um, down in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And a lot of those ladies were having problems with hormones.
Okay.
And of course, like I had done in the past, I recommended Anna's Wild Yam Cream. Well, out of that, when they had such a large group of ladies, they wanted to place, a one order to save on shipping fees. And so when we explored doing that, we found out the issue that they couldn't do that. They were only able to order one at a time, and it was going to take months and months and months to get.
Wow.
So out of that situation, like I think my sister said she ordered back November of last year and still hasn't received hers. And so there's just too many months, that's not feasible for most people.
Okay.
I've used Anna's Wild Yam Cream in the past. I've bought several of them from there. And so I decided, well, if we can't get this, I ordered a couple of others online and I didn't find them to be very good. They just didn't work very well. And they weren't made with the same ingredients, really. I mean, there was a lot of other extra fillers and things that either I didn't care for or that I felt that weren't going to be, conducive to what the whole situation was about. So I decided to start figuring it out. And I have quite a few failures trying to figure it out. Um,
Those are steps to success, Angela.
yes, because I try to find recipes online even, but to make a salve out of an herbal tincture, it's pretty difficult. So I started out with trying to make just an oil-based salve that's whipped, so it wasn't so heavy. And I did do that. It was successful. I was able to evaporate off the alcohol and all that, but it wasn't stable enough to use for shipping. Um, I found that out really quick. It melted very, very easily. And then once it melted, it is no longer, I mean, even if it hardens again, it's just completely ruined. And so I had to throw away some product after that. Though the people that did receive them did like them, um, but it just wasn't conducive to being able to even send in the car with somebody because it would get warm. You'd have to put it on ice and all kinds of crazy stuff. So it wasn't conducive. So I explored the option of making it like Anna's. But Anna's doesn't disclose everything they use. Because when I used the ingredients on the list, it was nearly impossible. You can't get it to stay together. I have pictures that I took of it, separating in every single ingredient. I mean, literally, you could go, okay, that's that, and that's that. It just didn't work. Um, so we had to fiddle around with it with different ingredients and different things, and we were able to figure it out. So it's working very well. My dad, he played around with it too. And my mom, she calls me and says, your dad did something crazy. It's so lumpy. It's not, I don't even know what it is. So anyway, there was a lot of failures, and my mom is using lumpy versions of it. But anyway,
The failures usually.
yeah, they are usable, but just not a nice product.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You sent me earlier a little keynote presentation, so I'm going to do this here, and you kind of walk us through. I can. This is what the wild yam plant, and this grew everywhere in Kentucky. I really miss Kentucky because everything grows there.
Oh,
And
wow.
I mean, and if you dig up, I don't know if you've ever dug this in the wild, but if you try to dig this stuff up, the root can be as big as a wheelbarrow. I mean,
Whoa.
it's just some of these things are massive. So you get quite a bang for your buck, and you can eat it too. It's quite.
Yeah, I've heard you can eat it. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so
No,
walk
I have not ever dug it up.
take a big shovel and
Uh,
you'll because it's going to take a while. So,
oh,
okay,
wow.
walk us through this.
Okay. You can go ahead and go to the next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so some of this is probably familiar to people that know Anna's Wild Yam Cream, but I thought I would just touch on just a little bit of it, so as a reminder. But the active ingredient in the wild yam is disjostin.
Diostin.
Diostin, sorry, yes. And it's the foundation block for almost all the hormones in our body. And it works differently than, let's say, a synthetic, um, you know, progesterone, because it's not actually just giving you progesterone. It's not a hormone. It's just feeding your body's ability to make progesterone and balance the other hormones in your body. So it's a building block necessary. So like Deanna just said, it's good for men and for women, because it builds hormones. I have several men. I do make a men's version as well as a female version. And the only difference is I added a few other herbs that are specific to men in the men version.
Both available?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
I'm making that one too. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll talk about that in just a minute. But Chase Tree is also added to it, and I personally have um, great success with Chase Tree because when I had my last son, I didn't stop bleeding for 5 months.
Wow.
And it was scary. I went to a regular doctor. They tested my hormones and they said everything looks good. They said my blood work was fine. Everything was good. There's nothing wrong with my hormone balance, but obviously there was. So their recommendation, of course, is always the same: put you on birth control or, have a surgery to scrape things and all kinds of stuff. So I knew I didn't want to do those things. And so I kept searching and I figured out finally Chase Tree Berry, after trying many, many, many different herbal things that people threw at me. I tried all of them that people threw at me. Other than a sitz bath, I did have a doctor lady tell me to try sitz baths, and I couldn't figure out quite how to do that in the house that I lived in. But anyway, Chase Treeberry fixed it for me. I never have had that problem since, and my son is now 11. So, that worked. And I did not keep continuing to take it. I took it for about 2 years and then I went off of it. It's also good in cream form because it bypasses the liver, goes straight into your bloodstream from your skin. And so it starts helping quickly, and it bypasses the digestive system so that you're getting the benefits without any of it being digested.
Very good. You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is good for? Now I put this note in there, as with most herbal products. This is a disclaimer that this isn't, I'm not trying to, diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease. So everybody's probably pretty familiar with the disclaimer. So you're welcome to read that and understand that I'm not a medical professional.
I think the best thing we can say is because we've gone through things and we experiment on ourselves. I guess all herbal tinkerers have experimented on themselves and their family first. And
Yes.
so that's where we're at. We're sharing what has worked for us.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so I was going to touch on both of the two main ingredients. The wild yam. This is what I have gathered as far as in my health books on the things that wild yam is good for. So there's more things than just hormones. As we said before, it feeds and nourishes, your body's organs to help make hormones. It's interesting because even when women have had things removed, your body seems to be able to compensate with other organs that produce hormones and can live and function quite normally. I have a lady that had thyroid issues, and her body was able to make, she didn't have her thyroid removed though. I don't believe that you could do that, but hysterectomies, ladies that have had hysterectomies, they seem to be able to come back and have pretty normal after taking yam cream. This has helped fertility in both men and women, though I personally have not used it for that. But I have had other people that have told me, that wild yam has helped them to conceive. It prevents miscarriage and prevents some cancers, as well as helps with rheumatism, and it is also a high zinc source.
Let me tell you there, Angela, if I could interrupt. Sure. Number 4 here, prevention of some cancers. A lot of people don't realize that if a woman or a man, but we're talking about women specifically now, if a woman has if she's very dominant in estrogen,
yep,
really drives some aggressive breast cancers. And that's why when you use this Anna's wild yam, this wild yam cream, it raises the progesterone, which brings the estrogen level back down. So that's that balancing effect right there, and it's done totally naturally.
yes.
So thing that's important, and this is kind of my hobby horse, and that is liver detox, because estrogen can cause your bile ducts to spasm and
Yep.
another thing. So I think that the yam cream would even help with that.
Yes, and glyphosate is an estrogen-like
Yes.
In our bodies, and so everything that we deal with, plastics and synthetic clothing, and hormone meats and those things. I know Barbara Neal, she stresses if you're going to eat meat to only eat organic. And especially with the chicken, she says is the worst as far as bringing up the estrogen level. And it's interesting that you say that, because I have a friend, I don't eat any meat, but I have a friend, and I was telling this information to, and she says that the organic chicken breast is like a third to a fourth smaller than the regular chicken breast. And that's crazy.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Because of the growth hormones. Now, they're not legally supposed to be able to do that anymore, but they have GMO'd the chickens to produce very large chicken breasts, because that's what most people buy is the chicken breast. And so, yeah, significant more estrogen in that than, organic.
Wow.
The chaste tree berry. This specifically is very good for menopause, heavy bleeding, like in my case, after having my son, is supposed to help get rid of fibroid tumors, but those are the ones that are due to hormone imbalance. And it also helps get the menstrual cycle going after someone has been on the pill for a long time. It's supposed to regulate, your hormones for that. So,
Okay.
yep, you can go on. Okay, how to use the wild yam cream. I have learned a few things since making this and having ladies respond to me.
Okay.
Um, and so when Anna said to have it on a different part of the body, it never said that you had to switch it. And so I have found this to be the case. I will have people come and they'll start my yam cream and they start noticing benefits within the first month or two. And then all of a sudden it stops. And so my first question I ask them is, where are you putting it? And how much are you using? And so almost always, if it has stopped working, it is because they have been putting it in the same spot over and over and over and over again. And so the only thing that I could find, that makes sense with that is your body gets saturated in that one area and then it stops uptaking it. And so when you switch, so when I use it, my husband uses it, and my sisters and my mom and dad, we all use it. But I will just switch. I'll do it in the inner arm one night, one morning, and then in the evening I'll do it the other arm, and then just switch and then come back to the same, just do it in a rotation. And that seems to work the best. I had a lady come back and says, wow, it's working again. And so it makes a difference for some reason. Like I said, it's kind of my presumption that it's because it's not uptaking it because it's, fully saturated in that spot.
Okay.
So you'd massage it, gently into that area until it's fully absorbed. The first sign that people usually have is sleeping. And I found that interesting, but our bodies, we need hormones when we sleep and we make hormones when we sleep. And it seems to be the best thing. Since a teenager, my mom and dad I've always struggled with sleep. And my mom and dad would buy me like these noise machines and things to drown out sound and all this stuff. After I got married, my husband couldn't stand them, so I couldn't use them anymore. But I was not a very good sleeper, even from probably a teenager. I would say probably when I came my period, I suppose. And I just couldn't sleep. I would wake up to every little sound. And I've been like that my whole life. So I just am a very light sleeper. So I am tired a lot of times because I don't get enough sleep. Well, after I heard some of my other people, having experiences with this, I was using a different yam cream. So I was kind of using up some stuff that I had purchased. I decided to toss that aside and start using my own. And I found that I started sleeping about 2-3 weeks after using it. I started sleeping, and I've been using it now for many months, and I have never slept as good as in my whole life.
Interesting.
I mean, I sleep like I get up in the morning and I'm like, whoa, I didn't get up at all night. And that is totally abnormal for me.
Yes.
So,
I remember when my husband and I were at Maimon Wilson's, one of the things that he said for when men use this is they can also put it directly on their testicles. That
okay.
tend to uptake it very rapidly when they do that. But again, I believe they also should rotate and not.
Yes.
That's another place that men can use it as well as women on the breast.
Yes. Yes.
I agree with that. I think it's very important to not use it in the same location every time.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, this is a photo of my yam cream, though I am using a blue colored glass container now because the pink ones were hard to find and they don't always have them. So, but this is my wild yam cream and there's directions on it, but you can see the full ingredients list there. And you use an 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon each time, but it isn't specific. with synthetic hormones and synthetic things, you have to be very specific. With yam cream, you just dip your finger in and use it. And if you get a little too much, your body isn't going to have any side effects from that. It's just going to throw it away, and release it from the body. So it isn't significant that you have to be precise, but roughly the 1/8 to 4th teaspoon, and you use it morning and evening. It's recommended to use the lower dose for just normal menstrual cycle, like pain and bleeding and stuff. But if you're having problematic, is to use the higher amount. So that's why you have a 2 to 3 month, how long a jar will last, depending upon, what dosage you use.
Okay. So you have it in a 4-ounce jar? Is that the only size you have available right now?
I was doing 2-ounce and 4-ounce, and I can do 2-ounce, but most people were not buying 2-ounce. They were buying 4-ounce. And so I kind of shied away from that because I charge a little less, right. Because I have it all in one jar, and it's less money that I have to, buy more jars. So it's actually more cost effective for you to buy it in the big jar. But if someone does want to just try it for 2 ounces, I do have 2 ounces and I can do that.
Okay, good. All right.
All right. So I wanted to talk just a little bit because I had a lot of questioning from people asking me, well, why not, why wild yam? Why do I need to use that instead of, the other things? And synthetics, normally, if you're going to take, let's say, progesterone, your progesterone can get up high, but it's not balancing anything else out. So it's not going to, like you said, it's not going to have that teeter-totter effect. It's not going to help lower the estrogen. It's really not doing what you want it to do, where God, he puts things in there to balance each other out. And it's like it knows what your body needs.
Right.
Kind of like cayenne pepper, it both stimulates and stops bleeding, So it's awesome how God does that, and no man can do those things.
Really, stuff.
That's right. And then lab tests will fail to know exactly what your body needs, just like the lab test when I went in for the bleeding said that I was normal and fine. But yet I wasn't. Something was off that lab test couldn't detect. Now, some people say, well, I'm doing a natural one. And what most people don't understand is unless it's a wild yam based cream or substance that they're using, it's a lot of times, even though it says natural, it's taken from pregnant horse urine. And people, if they realize that, probably wouldn't want to take it.
That crimson stands for pregnant mare's urine.
Yeah. Yeah. That's disgusting.
Mares, if anybody's interested, I could save you some money. It's cute. Let's not go there.
So with God's natural way, it's not necessary to be so particular. I often work with a lady that she's the one that did the chicken breast thing because she asks me questions all the time. And she always wants a specific dose because she's so used to the way doctors are. And I says, it's not going to matter. Unless you're going to take an obscene huge amount, it's not going to matter. And God's way is that way. And that's what's awesome.
Parasite detox. People want 1.2.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
So if you're interested, and I encourage you to be interested, here is how you can contact Angela. She does have a web page, but it's not quite done yet. The same lady who established my Square store for our stuff is working with Angela. And this is her web address, oldcountryremedies.com. You can go there and see it, but it's not functional yet. Yes. So if you want some, here's how to contact Angela. I do not sell this. I am not getting kickback. I just want you to have access and knowledge of things that I'm using and that I have found benefit from. So Old Country Remedies, P.O. Box 43, Britain, South Dakota, 57430. And you can see her number there, 308-991-4422. Angela
Yes.
Alberts is her name. And so, Angela, are you calling this Angela's Wild Yam Cream or just Wild Yam Cream?
Well, I kind of debated that, but I didn't really want to copy Anna's. So I'm just labeling it wild yam cream.
Wild
But
Yam. Okay. Now, you shared with me, I guess over the months that we've been conversing on this and you've been working on it, you sent me a jar to test, and I've appreciated
uh-huh,
it. You also sent a previous version as well as this one to a gal here in North Dakota. Um,
uh-huh.
can you share her experience with everyone?
Yes. So she was one of my first clients, and I actually wanted feedback from her. And I actually just talked to her again last night, oddly enough. But her response to it, she's the one who told me about sleeping, because I didn't realize that it was going to help sleeping. And she said that she has been on Anna's for years and it helped her sleep. And she ran out, couldn't get any. She wasn't sleeping very well. So she got mine and she started using it. Within a couple of weeks, she was sleeping good again. She decided to give it to her mother, who had never been on any wild yam cream. And she would write to me like every week and say, my mom's sleeping an hour more. My mom's sleeping an hour more. And she was getting up to, I think, 6 hours a night, whereas before it was like 2 or 3.
Oh,
And so she was so happy and excited. Um, and then this is the interesting situation because I was praying about this last night after I talked to her. She said it stopped working. And so I remembered what some of the other people had told me. And so I wrote to her and I asked her where she was using it. And she said she had shoulder surgery and was only able to use it in a couple, 1 or 2 spots. And she kept using those over and over and over again. And so I was like, so I told her to start using it in other places. So we'll see what happens now. But she had that same experience that other people have had. So.
okay. A little bit more delicate, but I am going to address this because I believe that there's a lot of men, especially even younger men, who are dealing with this issue now. And I believe it's because of the plastics and the toxins, all these things that are xenoestrogens in our environment.
Yes.
And that is the issue of erectile dysfunction. I believe you had a gentleman who was using this that had that issue reversed. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. He told me, I am so thankful for wild yam cream.
Good, very good. So this is not just for ladies, guys. If you're struggling in that area, or if you don't want to struggle in the future in that area,
Yes.
here's what may help
It's
you.
also prostate issues seeming to be helped with the men's version because I put herbs in there for the prostate, um, as well as low testosterone.
Okay.
I have a family member, not my immediate family member, but a family member that took pregnancy hormones, which is very odd. But the doctor told he wanted to lose weight and gave him pregnancy hormones to lose weight because
Wow.
it made him feel like he wasn't hungry to eat and those types of things. It did not work. It just ruined his testosterone levels. So messing around doesn't work. But anyways, so he's been taking it and he has been sleeping better and he's been having better successes. Testosterone is going up and those things. So yeah, the men's version is helping. I have women, telling me that their menopause issues that they still have after, years. I think one lady was 15 years. She started taking it. She got her lubrication back. She lost, the dryness and hot flashes and all those things. Even some rashes that were strange. She hadn't gotten rid of this rash for since she was a teenager, and tried all kinds of doctor stuff. And for some reason, it must have been hormonal or what it was, because it took that away even. So
So Angela, tell me what is it that you put in the men's yam cream? What are those herbs that you put in there, like saw palmetto or
yep,
what?
saw palmetto. I use Damiana, and then I also put in maca.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, though just those three added on top of the wild yam and the chase tree.
Okay, so for a 4 ounce jar of this, what do you charge for that?
35.
35. That's a lot better than anise. I remember giving $50 for a jar of anise.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So there you have it, people. This stuff is aging is not for sissies, and having
No.
issues is for sissies. So here's something natural that's from the herbal world that God has given us to use. And
Amen.
products, I believe she's very conscientious with using the purest products that she can find. Well, I use it, and so
Yes, I buy them if I can find them organic. I use organic herbs. So
yeah, and I know for a fact that as much as you can, you wildcraft as well, don't you? I'm not sure
yes,
this particular thing, but I know that we've talked about wildcrafting things before, like for your heart tonic, the motherwort and things that you have in
yep.
there.
And
And
I planted. I had one of our friends from Montana. She sent me a box of lily of the valley, and I planted those this spring.
yeah, she's our sister Irby nerd.
Yes. And
Yes.
I planted, I have yarrow growing now everywhere. Well, everywhere around my area, I planted it. And I have comfrey and echinacea and mullein and all kinds of stuff. So the stuff that can grow here anyways.
I love it. Angela, thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to stop screen share here.
All
And
righty.
yeah, I really appreciate this interview and your time. And so the contact information is on the screen. Your website should be up and running, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, you think?
Yeah, yep. Hopefully so.
All right. And it's a square site, just like our store. So it's kind of looking through a telescope from her webpage to the square site. So you'll have to click a couple of tabs to get through it. But it
Yeah.
works. If you want some of this in the meantime, I encourage you to try it out. Contact Angela. She shares my faith. So we definitely are in this to help people.
Very much so.
Yes. So let's close with a prayer. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Heavenly Father, I really appreciate this opportunity to talk with my friend and sister. I pray that this wild yam cream, I'm going to call it Angela's wild yam cream, would be a blessing and a benefit to men and women all over. And that, Lord, it would bring people's minds to a clearer state so that they can understand where we are in Earth's history. When our hormones are out of whack, it's hard to think straight sometimes and be calm.
Yes.
Pray that, people would be able to rest and think more clearly. And I thank you so much for this product from nature and for using your maidservant here to make it. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dana.
All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you on the next video.
All right. Bye.